We're going to be talking about Nick Wright and some accidental, maybe, compliments to Lamar Jackson, because you know that he's been termed a hater in the past. They have their background going back and forth. Remember, Lamar Jackson replied to him, I think, once and put up a picture of, I don't even remember what that picture was, but it wasn't flattering. It was not flattering. He posted a picture comparing Nick Wright to what?
I don't know, but the graphic had a massive nose. That was my
Yes, it
big
did.
takeaway.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
Yes, it did. Okay. Well, Nick Wright, over the last, these are two audio clips I'm going to bring in from two different videos of what they were reacting to. Okay. Now, hold on. I want to do this one first. First, they're reacting to Judy Batista, where she put together a list of the most vulnerable division champions. He listed the Ravens as number 2. Okay. She says Ravens have won the AFC North 2 seasons in a row, have a QB who could be the league MVP every year, and have no apparent roster holes. Steelers and Bengals are in the division, and they could threaten the Ravens if A, Rodgers decides to sign with Pittsburgh, and B, Burrow is in one piece, and Cincinnati can finally avoid a slow start. So listen, I don't want to down talk the competition. The AFC North, we've shown the numbers. The AFC North was the toughest division and has been over, I think, the last decade, something crazy like that. And so you can't take for granted divisional crowns. The Ravens have never won it 3 times in a row. So I do not want to downplay it, but I also don't know that they're the second most vulnerable. Anyway, Nick feels that Judy putting the Ravens at number 2 is, in his words, disrespectful.
Do you think this is disrespectful to the Ravens that they are ranked as the second most vulnerable division champ?
So they
got a tough schedule.
This is going to be confusing for the audience because I actually think this is very disrespectful to Baltimore because it is putting far too much faith in the Bengals. Like, the Browns are a cross-off, and to me, as far as winning 12 games, the Steelers are a cross-off.
Yeah, not winning 12
And
games.
so this is, to me, my questions about Baltimore are well established, but they are all playoff related. Baltimore is a surefire, excellent regular season team at the very least. Mm-hmm. So to say that Baltimore is threatened more by Cincinnati than Philadelphia is by Washington, I think is wrong. Detroit is, I understand why they're the most vulnerable because all the teams potentially being good, so they're a separate category. So it's just the teams beneath Baltimore on it. I think while I am very high on the Rams and not as high on the Niners, I think you make a very strong argument that the Rams are more in jeopardy than Baltimore because of the Niners. I think, man on island, I get it. Houston's in jeopardy in their division because of the upgrades that Jacksonville has made in the offseason. But by the way.
Okay, so he named 3 or 4 teams he think is more vulnerable than the Ravens in the AFC North. The Lions were number 1 on the list. He agreed with that. He felt like the Rams are vulnerable. Maybe the 49ers, because their easy schedule, can do something. They just, I don't know, the Cardinals, the Seahawks. He felt like, I don't know, I know the Eagles are the Super Bowl champs, but the Commanders are on their way up. I don't know about the Cowboys, but there's Commanders over there. The Chiefs, I don't know that anybody, Chargers or Broncos, I don't think so. Texans, maybe vulnerable to the Colts, Jags, maybe. Okay, Bills are not vulnerable. Stinking Bills. Their division. Come on now. They're enjoying what the Patriots enjoyed for so many years. Not that the Patriots weren't good and not that the Bills weren't good, but it's nice to have that cakewalk of a division. So back to this, Bobby. So he's saying this is disrespectful. No way are the Ravens the second most vulnerable. Okay, now watch. I'll get the next clip in a second to show how he's really complimenting in Lamar just a second, but let's talk about this real quick. Ravens, second most vulnerable, or is that crazy talk?
I just think this is hysterical because you're right. Nick's giving him a compliment and telling Judy and essentially this take to slow your roll. and calling it disrespectful. But I don't think Judy's that wrong, because the numbers that you mentioned, and we talk about it every single year, the AFC North is a juggernaut.
Yeah.
And while Cleveland may be Cleveland this upcoming year, well, guess what Cleveland did when they were Clevelanding last year? They found a way to split the season series in the regular season with the Ravens. So I actually don't think it's that far-fetched, because it's just a compliment to the division. It's not as much about the Ravens as it is the strength of the division. That's how I feel about this. That's the first thing that popped up in my mind.
Right, because
So
when
I
you
think
look
there's
at when you look at the Chiefs and Bills, they don't even really have competition. I mean, maybe the Chargers or Broncos will get there, but not the Texans. Like they're competing with the Colts, Jaguars, and Titans. So just because of the competition, for sure in the AFC, the Ravens might be the most vulnerable. And then maybe you can make the case for some of these NFC teams, like I talked about. Okay, so first of all, Nick Wright in this clip is giving a compliment to the Ravens as a whole. Like, oh, it's disrespectful you'd even think that they could be knocked off as division champs. Okay, so he's giving a compliment to the Ravens overall. But then here's where his accidental compliment might come to Lamar Jackson, because they then started debating NFL.com's most complete team list. And the Ravens are ranked number 2 behind the Eagles. You and I have said that we feel like as a roster, they're probably top 5. I don't study the other rosters the way these national guys do, okay? So he thinks it's crazy that Ravens are number 2 in terms of the most complete teams. So you're crazy for saying they're vulnerable, but you're also crazy for saying they're a complete roster. So who's doing the heavy lifting here? Nick?
Most complete teams for the 2025 season on NFL.com.
Fire about
the list has the Eagles at 1 since they won the Super Bowl.
That's fine.
Then it's the Ravens, Lions, Chiefs at 4, Bills, Vikings, Bucks, Packers, 49ers, who might not even make the playoffs, and then the Broncos. Any issue with Baltimore being at number 2?
I think maybe Drew will even agree with me, even though he's wearing his Ravens tie, probably his Ravens Jordans, and is a Ravens guy. This is outrageous. They have an awesome quarterback.
Yeah.
And, albeit old, awesome running back.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that they're awesome or even very good anywhere else. Their kicker's gone. Their wide receiver room is in flux for the 10th straight year. They last year had, despite Ravens culture, the number 31 pass defense in the league. What about Baltimore screams complete? They scream a super, led by 2 super duper stars at quarterback and running back. Not like this super well-rounded, complete, hard to find the whole team. That's why I'd be better off with a list that said they're the second most likely to win the Super Bowl. Because this is the year Lamar breaks through, then they're the second most complete team in the league. That's crazy.
Well,
to me.
look,
Okay, Bobby, I wish MVP voters felt the same way as Nick Wright did there. He clearly says it's dumb to say they're vulnerable, but he also says they're not a complete team, essentially saying Lamar and Derek are carrying everything. So that's some pretty big, you don't have a great roster, but you're for sure going to win the division. Hello, Lamar Jackson. Your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, do you think their wide receiver room's in flux?
Yeah, that was weird.
Do you
I think it's because he's thinking of DeAndre Hopkins.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so too. And maybe he's having a little bit of a recency bias because of who was unavailable for them when it all mattered and everything was on the line in January, which was both of their top 2 receivers unavailable down the stretch in Buffalo. Zay wasn't even available to begin with, and Bate obviously got injured in game. So other than that, I can't imagine why. I don't think it's fair to refer to this room as in flux. If one of those players were to have been injured seriously, luckily they weren't, and that would have been lingering into this season, I could see why maybe the room would be in flux, because you're taking a gamble on a 32, 33-year-old player in DeAndre Hopkins to be your wide receiver too, but you're not.
And just before you give the rest of your analysis, they talked about that more. Chris Broussard came back and he was like, I feel like the Ravens wide receiver room is as good as the Chiefs. So they debated that because Rashee Rice, we don't know if he's going to be coming back. And then they were looking at the rest of it, and it was kind of like, okay, but I'll let you finish. Then I have another thought on that, but I just wanted to let you know they debated more about the wide receiver room.
Okay, good. Because I
Yeah.
got one more thought too, because
Yeah.
he didn't even mention the tight ends. I mean, what a
Exactly.
I mean, what a total what come on. What are we doing here? That's like irresponsible to not mention the tight ends. And so if he thinks that the wide receiver room is in flux, he doesn't even mention the tight ends and says that Derek and Lamar are carrying it. There's no question that they're a huge percentage of what they, from an output standpoint of what this offense is through 1 year, that duo in existence. But it's actually ludicrous to not mention the other key, not just role players, but key playmakers for them that had big impacts last year. That's Mark, that's Isaiah, that is Bate and Zay as the complementary duo that they became at wide receiver, and you can even throw Justice Hill in as an honorable mention as well. And we haven't even talked about what they got offensively speaking from the line and how sturdy that was, given how new it was and how youthful it was. So I have a hard time following some of the analysis there. I do think that they are below Philadelphia because of some of the points that he brought up, right? We don't know what the pass defense will look like. Do we think that maybe it'll have a shot in the arm given the way they ended last year and Malachi Starks? Sure, you'd hope so, but we don't know. And then there's obviously some questions, not just at the kicker position, but really special teams wide. I think from a coverage unit standpoint, they've left a lot to be desired there in terms of just how high standards John Harbaugh has had that group living in for recent years. So other than that, I do think that they are absolutely top 5, and I would push them more towards like the top 3 category.
Yeah, I think when he was like, where else are they awesome? I first for sure put tight end. It was my answer. Where else are they awesome? Second half of the season, safety. I mean, you have an all-pro in Kyle Hamilton on his rookie contract. Now there is a question though, what will Malachi Starks be? So you can't turn that awesome. The whole room is awesome, but Kyle Hamilton's awesome. What else were they awesome? Rush defense. I'm pretty sure they finished number 1 in the league. And so that's where they're awesome. What's that?
Top 2 collectively in sacks.
Top 2 collectively in sacks, and you're about to add Mike Green. Now, do I call the pass rush group awesome? No. Solid for sure. Does it help with like this more complete team? Yes. And so, listen, there's definitely other places where they are awesome that he's overlooking, to your point. That being said, again, this complete roster in the regular season, everybody needs to come in the postseason. And, Nick Wright is traditionally hard on the Ravens in the postseason. So, and rightfully so. We talked about Odafe, what he did. We talked about the lack of turnovers from the defense. We've talked about Mark Andrews. We've talked about Lamar Jackson's turnovers. We talked about it all. We talked about the errant snap before from that led to the fumble, even though Lamar had it handled, he could have just jumped on it, but from Tyler Linderbaum, the errant snap. And so it's like, this is a pretty complete team. I'm happy to put it in the top 5, maybe more if I studied it more. It's just get it together in the postseason. But overall, the takeaway from these 2 clips to me, Bobby, was Nick Wright thinks that it's disrespectful to say that the Ravens won't win the division, and it's not even close to a complete team, and it's because they have an awesome quarterback. And as good as the team is, to me, the biggest reason why you say that the Ravens have a complete roster is because of Lamar Jackson. You have to start at the quarterback position. He's as Jody Batista said, in the running for MVP every year that he's healthy. And so one of the biggest reasons that they have a complete quote-unquote roster is because of that quarterback position. He skyrockets the rest of the roster.
In other words, multiple compliments from Nick Wright, a rare moment in the offseason, both for the team as a whole and Lamar Jackson, correct? Is that the best way to summarize? That's the spark notes, is that Nick Wright is divvying out, just like PHP does on a weekly basis. He is divvying out Ravens compliments.
There we go. It's a strange day. It happens in June.
Correct.
We'll check back again during the regular season when they're more of a threat to his Chiefs. If they can be that threat. Week 4. Let's go.
Kobe Bryant is I should say with spelling purposes here, just for our audio only audience, that is Cobee, was the undrafted corner who ended up signing with the Atlanta Falcons, Sarah. He, on his Snapchat, as you see here, posted a photo of a meme. We've seen this one before. James Harden's face and Lamar Jackson's body, meaning with the number 8 and a Ravens jersey. This one blew up, as you would imagine. Everybody wanted a piece of the pie here. I should say that while I couldn't find it over the weekend, I did see in some way or another a screenshot of Kobe clarifying that he wasn't taking a shot at Lamar with this screenshot on his Snapchat. He's a huge Lamar Jackson fan. But oddly enough, maybe even conveniently enough, where did it end up? I couldn't find it. I searched far and wide for this. So take it for whatever it's worth that Kobe has issued a clarification. But this one, Sarah, in the meantime, you know it garnered a ton of traffic online.
Listen, I am very curious as to if you are correct and that you really did see him saying, I didn't mean any disrespect to Lamar. Like, what are you doing then? What are you doing? What does it signify to put Harden's face on Lamar Jackson's body? Like, that makes no sense to me. None. Which just makes this even more bizarre, because it's bizarre in the first place that an undrafted rookie out in Atlanta who played in Kansas, who I don't think they have any sort of background, Kobe and Lamar, like, why? Like why did you, like, I don't get it. I don't get it. Was it just like you saw the photo and you decided to share it? And I just don't get it. Like, it's so unnecessary. So whatever. The whole thing is bizarre. Him doing it in the first place, and then this potential clarification that you're talking about.
And I got nothing for you, by the way, to answer your hypothetical. I got no clue what he was trying to do.
Like,
right?
if you're not taking a shot, what are you doing?
It would have been nice for him to clarify in this tweet that I think I saw, that I'm pretty confident that I saw, whether it was a tweet or a screenshot of an Instagram post or a Snapchat clarification or whatever it was. But again, I couldn't find the darn thing. Has anybody else seen it? Paging the audience, paging the Voltrons. Has anybody else seen on their timelines within the last 48 hours Kobe Bryant's clarification to this meme? Let me know.
Yeah, it's so odd. And obviously, the Ravens, including Lamar Jackson, is worthy of some critique. I don't know about these screenshots from other undrafted rookies. It's so strange. Like, make a team first, But just a reminder, at Lamar Jackson's ascending play in the playoffs, as we talked about last week, and his first 4 games. So he's had 8 total playoff games. His first half, he went 1-3, second half, 2-2. His first half, he was a 68.3 passer rating. His second half of playoff games, 105.8. That's a massive jump. Completion percentage going from 55.9 to 66.7. Passing yards, that's the only dip here, is 900 to 853. Touchdowns go up from 3 to 7. Interceptions go down 5 to 2. Lamar is ascending in the playoffs. That is what's happening, but few people are noticing.
Book it. The more you can use that graphic, the better.
Bring it. I'll bring it in as often as I bring in the way too long that graphic that took me way too long to make, with the fire in the background and his stats from last year.
You already know it.
As often as possible, because it takes a long time to go get this stuff.
People appreciate that one too. Every time you bring it in, they love it because it's great graphically. It's very pleasing to look at.